We are approaching hurricane season. Take a listen to this.
The truth is, it starts with you. So I hope everybody will take the time. You have time. Even though hurricane season starts June 1, it seems like we don't get hit until a little bit later. But you've got to get started.
Important words there. That's Florida Senator Rick Scott on tour of Southwest Florida, speaking to his constituents about the importance of planning ahead of hurricane season. Now, the seasonal forecasts are in. We brought you those here, and if they verify, it could be another busy season. So people living in states like Florida, they need to be ready if we do see another active year. We think back to last year, and 3 hurricanes made landfall in the Sunshine State, including Milton, which hit as a Cat 3, and then Milton came 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene, and what a monster that storm was, a devastating Cat 4. Let's discuss this upcoming season with Senator Rick Scott of Florida. Senator, thanks for joining us this morning. Milton, among the other storms, we had Debbie and Helene impacting your states. I'm wondering what lessons were taken from those storms and how you're hoping to apply them this year.
Well, I think anybody that goes through a storm, they all pretty much all say, I would get better prepared next time. Well, don't take a chance. We live in a beautiful state. We got beautiful beaches, but guess what? We have hurricanes every so often. So you've got to get prepared. You can go to, there's a lot of websites you can go to. Go to ready.gov and you see the federal government's website has a plan: water, food, documents, medicine, all these things. Have a plan, have an evacuation plan. You put out great information about evacuations, follow it. My job is get people ready, get people prepared, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. You can always rebuild your house. You can't rebuild your life. So the most important thing is get prepared. I want everybody to do it. I'm traveling the state. It was in Southwest Florida yesterday, today in Miami and Tampa, tomorrow in Orlando and Pensacola, just working to get the state ready.
And it really is the entire state. Florida is one of those unique states where, the entire state essentially is a coastline.
The whole state.
I'm telling you what, so it's quite a tour and important work that you're doing. What we have seen emerge, notably out of the weather community these past few months, a lot of headlines have been surfacing about the federal budget cuts. NOAA and the National Weather Service, they're facing some cuts and staff shortages. FEMA, perhaps also facing cuts. So my question is, if Floridians should be worried about how these cuts might affect them, especially during this upcoming hurricane season?
I'm on the Homeland Security Committee. The Secretary of Homeland Security spoke, I think it was last week, and I asked her, is the federal government going to be ready? She said they are. Now let's remember, the first line of defense is you, right? Get your house ready, get your business ready, follow the news. Number 2 is the local government. Number 3 is the state government. The federal government is basically a check writer. As a general, FEMA is a check writer for if you lost your house, for some temporary housing, if you have debris pickup, they're a check writer. So that's actually up to Congress to do our job. And I'm going to work hard to make sure FEMA, NOAA, National Hurricane Service, National Weather Service, they all have the funding necessary to do their job.
And that's the important key. We've heard messages from President Trump pushing for states to have more of an active role in disasters, which Florida certainly does. He has proposed some cuts to FEMA. He's even talked about getting rid of FEMA completely, but you've in the past stressed the importance of FEMA. So where do you stand on this? Are you concerned about FEMA funding this year?
Well, the Secretary of Homeland Security says they have the resources, they're ready to do their job. I'm going to make sure the federal government is a partner, but you have to do your part. That means you, the homeowner, the individual, your local governments, your city and your counties, the state government. The federal government is a response organization. They don't send in the firefighters. You have local firefighters. They don't send in the police department. You have local police that do all these things. And so what they do is they'll help with some funding. And I'm going to work my tail off to make sure the federal government continues to be a partner. But this, it starts with you, local government, state government, and then the federal government as a backstop.
And it resonates with me when you mentioned the federal government being that check writer. And along those lines, and it is a part of FEMA, but one thing that I've noted, and you being a part of Congress, the National Flood Insurance Program, it is set to expire this year. Did some digging on floridadisaster.org. About 35% of NFIP clients are in Florida. Is there concern about that getting greenlit, or would we expect in September when that comes up, should we be good? Senator Scott, not sure if you can hear me. Okay. I think perhaps we're having some issues with his shot. In the meantime, his tour, as he had mentioned, across Southwest Florida, that continues. He's in the beautiful city of Miami this morning. And we look at the forecast overall. When we see the named storms, this was from NOAA, the 2025 hurricane outlook, 13 to 19 named storms. So when we were talking about this being an above average year, that's what we're thinking. About a 60% shot or so that we would see those above average numbers. Kendall, I can bring you in. NOAA's forecast came last week, and that was a few weeks after CSU issued theirs, which too was an above average season. I should keep in mind, last year it was a hyperactive season. That was the forecast.
Yeah, it really was. And so to see, of course, NOAA and CSU kind of aligned with one another, the fact that this is going to be above average season, you have to be prepared. Of course, that's what the senator was just really kind of hitting that point hard home. But it's one that you have to be proactive about. Yeah,
I think actually we were able to get Senator Scott back. We only have a couple of more questions, so if we're able to pull him back up. Senator Scott, sorry that we lost you for a minute. I'm not sure how much you caught of the question. No, it's all right. The moment you mentioned earlier in the interview about the federal government writing the checks, that resonates. And I think for a lot of Floridians, the program, and maybe a lot of people don't know about it, but there's about 35% of Floridians that rely on it, or at least have it, the National Flood Insurance Program. It is part of FEMA. And this has to be greenlit by Congress every few months. It's due up in September. Are you concerned about that being greenlit? Are you confident that that should be extended?
Well, first off, I believe in the National Flood Insurance Program. Now, let's remember, Florida has been a significant donor state to it. So it's actually, the rates in Florida are not actually fair to our state. So what I've been trying to do is make sure it's more fair to our state. So the insurance should be spread based on the risk. So if we're a donor state, then we've been paying too much money. So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we continue the flood insurance program, also to make sure that it's fair to our state.
Before we let you go, I think one of the vulnerabilities that we see with any hurricane season is getting a monster storm that moves in, and we hope that that's avoidable. Florida, in a lot of ways, took it on the chin last year. But when we look at this hurricane season, wondering what your biggest concern is for the state, what keeps you up at night when you think about hurricanes and Florida?
Well, the National Weather Service, National Hurricane Service do a really good job. They're really good at generally telling you the track, but they're not perfect. And so you've got to, don't believe it's going to be perfect. Also, they're pretty good about wind, but it's not going to be perfect. Where it's harder now is to understand the storm surge. And you go back to all, when I was governor, we've had some really bad storm surges. Michael, the Panhandle, Irma, and the Keys. Ian, look at what Ian did after I was governor. And so people have to understand, generally in Florida, not always, but generally in Florida, the hurricanes are now, the risk is a water event. You've got to get away from water. That means if you're going to have a storm surge, get out. So if we're going to have a storm, understand that the storm surge is probably what's going to kill you. And so you got to get away from it. So that's what I worry, that people don't, they still think of the wind categories, which is important, but the water is what's killing people.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And the numbers verify that. And the saying goes, right? You run from the water, you hide from the wind. Well, We wish you the best of luck. Appreciate the work that you're doing in South Florida. Thanks for joining us on Fox Weather this morning, too. Florida Senator Rick Scott, thank you.